How I figured out my best friend of 6 years set me up to get jumped and worse. So I've been best friends with this girl for pretty much 6 years, and we've always had each other's backs. But one day in high school, we ended up liking the same boy. I never told her that the boy that I liked was the boy that she liked, but for some reason this boy just naturally gravitated towards me. I didn't do it on purpose, he just kind of liked me. So one day I asked her and said, "You wouldn't get mad if like so-and-so asked me out, right?" For whatever reason, she flipped the heck out. I'm talking about she started throwing things all over her room. She started screaming and having a temper tantrum. Honestly, this scared me and I didn't want to talk to her anymore. I've never seen this side to her, but this made me extremely uncomfortable. So I just blocked her because what the heck, like I'm not going to deal with a psycho. So next thing you know, I get this weird text from her on an alternative account. And she said to come to her backyard and that she wants to apologize and make up for what she's done. You will not believe what happened next. How I figured out my best friend of 6 years set me up and worse. So I was kind of skeptical of going at first, but I ended up going because honestly I cherished the friendship and I kind of missed her. So I went to the backyard and I kid you not, there was this random girl there. Next thing you know, I get sucker punched in the face. So hard that I black out for like 2 seconds. Then after that, there's like 2 guys huddled around me and they're just like touching me and moving my stuff around. I snap out of it and realize what's going on. I take my coat off and I run for my life. They try to chase after me, but I end up pepper spraying their eyes and I ran away. I cannot believe she tried to set me up for those 2 things. I went home and I cried and I told my mom about it. Luckily, there were cameras on the street, so, I have a case against her now. My mom brought her to court and the case is still going. I probably shouldn't be talking about this online, but I'm not too sure what to do. I still do miss her as my friend. I probably shouldn't accept her as a friend though, right? What do you guys think? Let this person know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching and make sure you follow for more story times.
Am I wrong for giving my child the same name as my friend's stillborn baby? I, 26 female, am currently 7 months pregnant, and a few weeks ago we found out that we were having a little girl. My husband, 28 male, and I had already decided on what to name our baby depending on the gender, and upon finding out that she was going to be a girl, we announced that we would name her Adeline. I first heard of this name when I was a kid and thought it was beautiful, and decided that if I ever had a daughter, I would name her Adeline. After hearing this, one of my friends, 27 female, who I had been close with since we were in university, began acting distant towards us. Throughout my pregnancy, I have tried to be sensitive to her feelings, as I knew it was a sore point for her. 2 years ago, she tragically lost her baby girl to a stillbirth. I can't even begin to imagine how heartbreaking this must have been for her, and I made sure I supported her through this devastating loss. Despite her trauma, she has never been anything less than kind and empathetic towards me up until that day. A couple of weeks later, she confronted us, suggesting we change the name of our baby, to which we rebuffed. She kept on trying to convince us, suggesting different names or saying Adeline was too old-fashioned or that it wouldn't suit our child. We kept on denying to change her name until eventually my friend started crying and revealed that Adeline was the name she had chosen for her stillborn baby. When she was pregnant, she refused to tell anyone her baby's name, and she wanted it to be a surprise for when she was born. After the stillbirth, she decided she would keep the name to herself because it was personal to her, to which we understood. Until recently, no one knew what her baby was going to be called. She claims that by keeping our name, we are disrespecting the memory of her baby. She said that if I chose the same name then, my daughter would be a living reminder of what could have been. I completely understand her grief, but I believe I should have the right to name my own child without being burdened by someone else's trauma. So, am I the asshole? Conflicted. Okay, 2 things. One, I would say you didn't know. She didn't share the name, so it's not your fault that you picked it, okay? I wouldn't consider the asshole for that. It comes down to this. What do you value more? Your relationship with your friend or this name? If your friend has come up to you and expressed that, hey, this is going to be very traumatic for me if you name your daughter this, do you not care and willing to let that friendship go? Or you could be a nice person, and pick something else. But I don't think you'd be wrong to not do it. You know what I mean? But like, if you're my friend and my close friend told me that, I would change my name for sure.
What is the worst wedding you've ever been to? While in high school, a recently graduated friend got pregnant and had to get married. Both sets of parents were incensed that their good religious children had sex before marriage, and both sets of parents were convinced that the other parent's child was to blame. His parents thought the bride was no better than a street-walking whore. Her parents thought the groom was opportunistic child toucher. She was 18, he was 20. Then there were the cultural slurs thrown around, mostly by his family since they were white and the bride's family was Hispanic. When the father of the groom asked if the bride's family planned on serving dirty rice, hey at the reception, I thought the grandmother of the bride was going body slam the idiot out the door. So we get to the day of the wedding and bride's 6 brothers spend the day skulking around like they've got weapons hidden in their suits. The groom's family continued to try to convince him that he should at least wait until the bastard is born so you can find out if it's yours or not, right up until he went to stand at the altar. After a very quick ceremony, The whole crowd heads off to the reception being held in the rec room of an apartment complex. The bride and groom try to make the best of it. There was no dancing or even music, because of their religion, and the food was just snack-type stuff. It was a whole room of unhappy family members sucking down red punch and bad attitudes. Then comes the coup de asshole. The groom's sister, who was a good 15 years older than the groom, had volunteered to provide the wedding cake as she'd been making really fancy cakes for family birthdays for years. Bride was kind of excited about this since it was really the only gesture of welcome she got from the groom's family. Sister took off right after the ceremony to go and pick up the cake, and after an hour, had still not shown up. After another 30 minutes, the bride was ready to just break a chocolate cookie with the groom and be done with it when sister arrived, carrying 3 store-bought coconut cakes. Correction. 3 of the smallest stores-bought cakes ever in existence, and they were obviously not fresh cakes. They had discount stickers on the boxes. Each cake said it served 6 people, and there were over 70 people at the reception, plus they were coconut, which the bride was allergic to. The groom's sister had obviously spent an hour or so driving around to different stores looking for the worst of all cakes for this wedding. And she never even tried to explain why she did not make the cake herself as she had offered to do. I don't think the bride stopped crying for days, and the groom just looked like he wanted to shoot his whole family.
I know that my husband is cheating on me, and I need to tell someone. I, 40 female, found out about 6 months ago. I went into total shock. I thought he, male 39, loved me because he tells me that every day. We have a beautiful family together, 3 beautiful children, 5, 4, and 16 months. Beautiful home, vacation home. We're close to both of our families, and everything is perfect. She, female 35, is a coworker of my husband's that I know very well. She's been to my home. I've comforted her when her husband cheated on her and left her for the new woman, and I saw her pain. Little did I know that she would inflict that same pain on me a few months later. I saw her nudes on his phone. Talk about their hookups on Messenger. She isn't even beautiful. She's disgusting, pathetic, and miserable.
Oh, God.
I know I'm being a disgusting misandrist here, but I can't help myself. What does she have that I don't? He disgusts me very much. He's pathetic and he's stupid. My respect for him is gone. I have chosen to pretend that I don't know. I love my life, and I'll be damned if I share my children and not be able to see them every day of their lives. Not him nor her deserve me separating from my babies, my home, my family, my comfortable life, and my safety. Sometimes I think he knows that I know. When he looks at me and asks me to come back to him, when he asks me where I am in my thoughts. It feels like your body is here, but your mind is 1,000 miles away. I don't answer him, and he starts to argue. Sometimes it feels like he's doing it to provoke a reaction out of me, but I never answer or engage until he gets tired and he leaves me alone. I never initiate anything with him, and when he has me, I just let him, and I refuse to let him pleasure me. In the beginning, he complained that I am distant and cold, and that I want him to use protection. I told him I stopped using birth control, so he has to wear protection. His complaining stopped when I told him that it's either this or nothing. 6 months later, I'm mostly at peace with my life. Still a lot of ups and downs, but the downs are getting fewer and further between. Today was a down, so I needed to vent. This part of my head and thoughts were so occupied with my husband were suddenly empty, and I have found out that I'm pretty good at filling the void with other things. New hobbies and even more quality time with my babies and loved ones. All is well. And then there's an update. I didn't expect that I needed to make an update about my post because I really only ever wanted to vent because no one knows my situation and I need an outlet. Sorry about that, by the way. I have some news anyway. Mostly they're based on your comments about me needing to protect myself in case my husband got bored and left me. I have never been worried before because I basically own half of everything, legally speaking, but I started to think of the worst case scenario situations. Anyway, Friday, my husband made me dinner and brought me flowers and chocolates. He said that he wanted to make it a night for the 2 of us because he felt like we were pulling apart. Kids were sleeping and he wanted me, and then he got upset because it wasn't how he imagined the evening would go and accused me of not loving him or our family anymore. I got really angry when he accused me of not loving my family when they're all I have left to give me love and hope. I snapped at him that I didn't feel safe with him anymore, and he knew full well why I had become this way. You know the reason why. He was shocked and looked at me without saying anything and then just sat silent on the end of the sofa for the rest of the evening. Before bed, he asked me to tell him how I would feel safe again and to tell him what I wanted him to do, and he went to bed. I stayed up all night and I made a list of demands. Number 1, I want a post-nuptial agreement where I get my house and my summer house. Number 2, I become a partner at his companies at 50%. I don't know how these things work since I won't be buying in, but this is just for him to fix. And I'm not interested in management, just that I have my half in the passive income.
Wow.
Number 3, I want him to get a vasectomy. We were planning 4 more children before all this, but I don't want that anymore.
They had 3 kids?
Yeah, they started with 3?
Oh my God.
They won a basketball team?
So he should have a vasectomy. 4, I want him to always wear condoms with me or never bother to touch me again. I will not even tolerate complaining about that part. Also, I want biannual STI tests. This morning, I sent him a text with the demands. I know it's silly to send someone you live with a text, but I don't want to fumble with my words and forget details. I didn't want him to see me crying or being visibly emotional. I just couldn't take him trying to console me. Just the thought of him feeling sorry for me makes me sick. But I also didn't want him to forget anything, and I wanted it to be in writing. He read it at the breakfast table, and he didn't say anything. We continued the day as normal, and when the children were in bed, we had our dinner, and he said, "About your demands, I agree." I told him to start on Monday with realizing my list, and he agreed.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess since many of you asked me to take measurements and have a backup plan, this is what I could come up with. And it did help. I woke up today a little bit less anxious. I don't know how long we can keep this up, but I hope until I feel safe to leave my babies in his care, maybe when they're all in school. Today I effed up by going on a date with somebody I met in a dark club.
Oh.
I think that you did. You probably did great.
A few weeks ago, I met Max while out at a club for a birthday party. He was so cute and tall and had a raspy voice and a British accent. My weakness.
Whoa, was that a moan?
That was a moan.
From who?
Sam.
Yeah.
Did you hear
I didn't hear that.
That was unfiltered, okay?
That was
That was sincere.
British raspy voice. He's tall and he's handsome.
Sam lost
said,
control of himself.
Yo.
You're like, hey, babe.
And we spent a good amount of time that night just talking and chilling. We ended up exchanging numbers before my group left. We texted pretty consistently for a few days and planned a date, archery and drinks. When I arrived at the
Archery and
What?
drinks?
That's a horrible
Shouldn't have
combination.
done that.
That is horrible.
First and last date. You're dead.
When I arrived at the range, I saw Max in the light of day, and I knew that I had made a mistake.
Oh, no.
Oh,
That kind of story.
that type of dark club. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody needed to turn on them damn lights.
Max in the dark, he's like, and then she's like, it's the sexiest man I've ever seen.
He's in like just.
And there's a complete shadow. It goes like that. She's like, that's Sliver.
Upside, he was actually cuter than I remembered.
Okay, good.
Downside, he was most definitely a she.
Oh!
The boobs were unmistakable in her top, albeit pretty androgynous.
Okay.
After a little bit of convo, I confirmed that she definitely identified as a female and is a lesbian. I explained that I was straight and I thought she was a guy, and she luckily laughed it off. Apparently, it's happened before. We still ended up finishing our date and had a great time. We hung out.
Made love.
We hung out multiple times since then. I've since introduced her to a friend who's actually a lesbian, and they really hit it off, and they have been going on a few dates. My friend has been roasting me for weeks, but I gained a friend, and my friend gained a potential girlfriend, so I really can't complain.
Am I the arsehole for humiliating my mother-in-law at a family meal? Story time. So I've never really got on with my mother-in-law for the entirety of mine and Steve's relationship. Over the years, she has just said a lot of very, very childish and cruel things about me. Recently, I've just become exhausted with this woman. We've recently moved towns, I've got a different job, we've recently got married, and we're also looking to buy a house. So my mind is being taken up by lots of different things. So just for some context on what this woman is like, in the past few years, she has taken to ignoring me, both messages and in social settings. And then when we are in social settings, she will just talk right over the top of me. This is giving Phantom of the Opera. She just really enjoys pretending that I don't exist. So as a result, I've just mentally checked out the situation. And through ruining her relationship with me, she's also ruined her relationship with my partner as well. Now, don't get me wrong, I support whatever relationship my Steve wants to have with his mum, but I'm done trying to be this woman's friend. So recently we were at a dinner party and my mother-in-law starts asking when we're going to have kids. And when I say asking, I kind of mean more like interrogating. She's going over and over again about how she can't wait to have grandchildren and she's going to be such a great grandma. And this is something that she has not shut up about lately. Anytime we see her, it's like, when are the grandchildren coming? When are you going to get pregnant? La la la. And it's getting on my nerves, quite frankly. Now, don't get me wrong, my partner has asked her to stop several times, but she just keeps going. At a certain point in the night, I'd had a little bit too much wine and it really started to get to my head. And I snapped. That's the best word for it. I turned to this woman. I was like, what do you want to know about our private life, Sandra? I'll tell you. Do you want to know what kind of birth control I'm on? Do you want to know what time of day we're doing it? Do you want to know where we're doing it? I was like, do you want me to let you know what my ovulation tests are saying? I list them all. I went into using inappropriate language, crude language. I was being vulgar. I was giving detail. At one point, I even said to her, Sandra, have you actually got any tips for me? Or actually, Sandra, why don't you just come and watch? Make sure we're doing it right. Then she started crying and screaming at me and asking Steve why she's letting her partner speak to her like that. Me and Steve got up after this and left because there ain't no way I was sitting and divulging that conversation any longer. The next day, his aunties call and they're like, listen, she was a little bit out of order, took it a bit too far. We think she should apologise. No, I don't think I should, but you please let me know if you think I should. I also just wanted to add that I'm actually infertile and I know this, but I would never ever tell her that to give her that as a weapon that she could use against me. So what do you think? Am I the arsehole?